I am very pleased to introduce today's speaker. Gregory Beale is the founder and CEO of the 5 highly successful businesses based in Sebastopol, California. Farm to Coast Collective at the Livery on Main is his latest venture. And Greg will be talking to us about this wonderful downtown project that's coming. The Beale Group consists of a team of interconnected businesses. Thrive Construction Group, a general contractor, Builders Studio of Sebastopol, an architectural and engineering design firm, Farm to Coast Collective, that's the master tenant of the Livery project, and Beale Group Properties, owner of the Livery on Main. Please welcome Greg Beale.
Well, thank you again, Dan and Rotary for having me. I've been, ever since Dan contacted me to do this, I've been very excited to meet and speak with all of you. I just wanted to welcome all of you, and I'm going to just talk a little bit about myself, which I think Dan already covered most of it, a little bit about our family of companies, but most of all about our project downtown that I think is probably what you're most interested in. And I'll do my best to speak clearly and concisely, and would really look forward to questions or comments when I'm done with the slideshow, if that works. So an overview of just what the agenda is I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of the overall companies and myself, but I'm going to dive into a little more detail about the project, kind of show you some floor plans, talk about some uses of the spaces, and what many people are most excited about is the chef licensees that we're going to be housing in this project. And then I will give you some highlights of kind of current status of the project and the next steps. So I'm going to talk a little more about the family of companies, but first I'd like to just kind of introduce you to some of the team that's working on this project with us. Becca Lipsky is our COO and just kind of a magician. She's been part of many startup companies of varying types, from tech to engineering to construction, and we're very lucky to have her. Nick Izzarelli actually worked with Stark's organization for about 20 years, and he is our food and beverage director for this project. Jen Klein has been in the area for a long time, an entrepreneur herself, has started and owned several local businesses, and most recently, before coming on board with us, worked with Osmosis for many years there as well. Katie Modell is in a similar vein to Becca. They are the engine that really supports all of our companies, from accounting and bookkeeping, but operations, HR, things like that. And then Michael Wilson is our consultant around sound and other technical aspects of the project. He currently is the sound tech for Sweetwater down in Mill Valley. And the way we met Michael is his wife is actually one of our carpenters at our construction company. So small group of interrelated people here with multiple disciplines. Life is busy and full, especially under the current circumstances. This is a photo of my family in front of the building, my 9-year-old, a 4.5-year-old. And as Dan said, I've been a resident of Sebastopol since 2011. My wife grew up here. My father-in-law is Dave Leff of Leff Design Build, that's been around here for more than 40 years. So our roots run deep, and we plan to keep it that way for a long time. Also, I grew up in an even smaller town than Sebastopol on the south side of Santa Cruz along the coast. And my father was a land use planner, architect, builder, kind of doing design build before anybody called it design build. My mom was a therapist, and surprisingly, or maybe not, I use more of my mom's skill set in business than my dad's, even though I'm in the construction and design business. And another just kind of influence of note that I just wanted to mention is my maternal grandfather was a graduate of Harvard with an MBA and a law degree, World War II vet, and could choose pretty much anywhere he wanted to work. And he chose a life of teaching and was a professor at Berkeley for over 40 years in both business and in law. But his real passion and his focus was actually around business ethics. And that's really influenced how I look at life and business, and kind of to me, they're the same, and I treat them the same. And that kind of leads into this family of companies where work environment and culture really is the core of all of these companies. I've been a student of business beyond my college years, reading books and going to seminars and things like that. And really a lot of what I have learned about was how a lot of larger corporations have structured themselves. But always my interest has been how to learn from them, but apply to real world, Main Street, more mom and pop, human-sized business towns and operations. So with that, about 5 years ago, maybe a little bit more, on a single sheet of paper, I kind of outlined this idea of this ecosystem of independent but interrelated companies that were all kind of tied together through a parent company. And surprisingly, or I guess I'd like to say intentionally so, it's really what's come to fruition. And that has resulted in Builder Studio of Sebastopol, where we have multiple architects, engineering, designing, permitting, all under one roof. Well, I guess right now it's more like remote roofs, I guess, in that case, but really focusing on tackling the more complicated projects of residential and commercial, mixing new and existing, where you really need all disciplines proactively involved versus the more traditional reactive process. Thrive Construction Group is our general contractor, and they work hand in hand on design build projects, but also do projects like Builder Studio separately from one another. And then the Beale Group does all of our back of house work and allows actually both Thrive and Builder Studio and our other companies to have no individual overhead roles, because we're able to share through the Beale Group all of those services for our companies, which allows us to have much lower operating expenses. All of these companies have worked on the Livery project and Farm to Coast Collective. With the strength of all of our multidisciplines of teams, we over the years have seen other small businesses struggle in retail and especially in restaurants. And this was the case, we are thinking even before the pandemic, and as you all know and have seen, it's even more so the case now. And we've been able to experience the benefit of this collaborative, centralized support organization, and wanted to apply it to other industries, retail and restaurants specifically. So we started on this process. It was actually when the Aubergine building became available before Art and Soul moved in there. We actually explored the possibility of putting some, kind of with a ferry building type inspiration, Oxbow in Napa, that type of approach. And we were able to really kind of cut our teeth exploring the possibilities there. That property just ended up not quite being the right fit, mostly due to just lack of infrastructure and upfront costs to even get us close to where we needed to get to. And so that brought us to this other property, but I'll talk to you a little bit more detail about Farm to Coast specifically. I think a lot of you could probably are familiar with the food hall concept so far. It's kind of the new emerging approach to restaurants, and we've been very interested in that. And our take on it takes the shared services, I think, a few steps farther than what anybody else has done so far. And, we created this company to directly benefit a group of thoughtfully curated local businesses that can work symbiotically within the Livery. This shared services framework will support local farmers, chefs, artists, performers, and makers. Farm to Coast is a public benefit corporation with a mission to socially and economically empower small business to succeed in their passion. We have a vested interest in this community. This is where we live, where our children go to school, where we work. And so this isn't just another project. This is very important for all of us personally and professionally. So the project, for those that don't know, is located on South Main Street on the corner of Burnett Street in South Main, just across the street from the public parking. The UPS store is actually part of our property. We're across the street from Retrograde Coffee. You can see from these images here, this corner has seen some evolution over time, and we are proposing further evolution of this corner. The top image is an actual image of a building that was on this intersection in the late 1800s, and we've really embraced that architectural style and just kind of the brand of what that looks like. We really wanted to not just introduce something that we think that Sebastopol could be in the future, but really make sure to respect what it has been and where we are right now. And today, most of you probably know it as Round Table Pizza that took kids or grandkids after a sporting event or something like that but as you can see in the bottom right corner here, our style and architecture kind of embraces a number of architectural styles, both of past, present, and future, which is no accident. Again, here's just another better idea of where the property is. We've also more recently, this last year, acquired the neighboring building just to the east of this property, which is formerly the Persinger Architecture Building. And that is added to the project where we're going to be able to fit a co-work and potentially an additional cafe into this space. Here's just another rendering as if you were looking at the building kitty corner, kind of looking to the northeast. The brick on the building now is clearly a fake brick, and the architectural style is a little confusing. So, we went for a more traditional brick cladding, some cedar siding, perforated metal railings, and some smooth stucco to kind of incorporate a number of textures and styles. Here's another look a little bit more from the south end, as if you're maybe standing in the public parking lot across the way. There's more of a grand entrance with a set of stairs and an elevator to take people up all three levels. Another look a little bit farther from the south there. The roof you can see there is mostly outdoor space. That kind of arched metal structure is designed to have some creeping vines that will grow over it and provide some more shade in the summer. And this is looking from the west side as if you were at Retrograde Coffee. And we're making a little more larger, more predominant entry there as well. And an outdoor set of stairs that goes up all three levels there, which is kind of the wood cladded part to the left side of the screen. The first level is really more of we're calling it the stables, to continue with that kind of the livery theme of, and there are 5 micro kitchens that vary in size in the 350 to 500 square feet range. They're all numbered here. I'll talk a little bit more about the specific curators that will go into each space there. But there's a lot of common space. The area in the bottom left corner of the building will actually be outdoor patio. We're replacing some of those exterior windows with garage doors that will open up to the south, but also allowing for some indoor seating as well. And then all of these kitchens will have shared dry and cold storage. And another interesting, unique thing that we're doing is that they'll all have a shared scullery, which means all of the dishes, everything to be washed will all be done by common staff. So each one of these kitchens will have to will only require a minimum staff to operate, which we think will really allow these smaller businesses to be more sustainable and more profitable. At the second level here, we have a lot of outdoor balcony that's actually already existing. Many people don't even realize there's a large balcony up there now. We've opened up some of what is the second floor now so that the lower level can get the volume all the way up into the second level. And we'll have a drink-focused vendor up there, Farrier's Bar, where it'll have a little more of a formal, maybe a little more of an adult feeling up there. But you will be able to order from any of the menus in any of the kitchens down below as well. And then in addition to that, we're having event space. Our goal here, the design, is to have a very high quality, high level of sound for a small event space. And it'll fit a little over 100 seated or around 150 standing. And we've already spoken with some neighbors, including Hot Monk, about how to coordinate and collaborate and elevate versus compete, and among others. And it feels very good about, all of the above, the restaurants and the entertainment space, to be adding to versus competing with the other existing businesses around. This is a floor plan of the former Persinger building. It's actually where I'm sitting right now. I'm upstairs. This is where it's going to be primarily a co-work space. This is kind of showing the future layout of desk spaces that individuals can get memberships and have dedicated or shared use spaces. COVID has introduced some unique challenges to shared office spaces, as I'm sure many of you can imagine or have experienced. And we are, in the short term, and maybe indefinitely, we are actually, and already purchased on order, are these interesting prefabricated, freestanding, self-reliant rooms that are soundproof, but they also have their own individual air conditioning and air filtration system. So each office is actually, can be safe to use and independent from the rest of the other users. And so, because we see Zoom, like we're doing right now, is really, it's not going to go away. And having the sound buffering along with the safety of the separate airspace is being really important. So we've had to pivot a little bit there. When we first started exploring this concept in 2019, we interviewed majority of restaurant owners in town and even outside of town, and many kind of defaulted to this 30% of revenue for facilities, 30% for food, 30% for staffing, and if you're lucky, 10% profit. And in this business model of being able to share the services of many aspects of that, we are finding, and has been further proving, additionally kind of supported by a Cushman and Wakefield article put out in 2020, that the food hall concept in general consistently provides more profitability to the tenants, or in our case, the licensees, for their businesses, and allows them to be more sustainable and get through the ups and downs with less staffing issues. So in kind of just in more specific terms, the Farm to Coast is going to provide turnkey kitchens for each of our licensees, a liquor license that can be used for the entire property, shared common area, shared utilities, internet, recycling, compost services, shared marketing, as well as special events that will benefit all involved. So we have, and I'm just going to go ahead and click through and bring up all of our licensees and then go through them one by one. So we have currently 6 licensees that are part of this project, and some of them you might recognize. We went through a really interesting, valuable process of interviewing potential licensees, where there was much more demand than we had space for. And we weren't just looking for exciting menus. We were looking for those with common values, a similar ethos to this project, and those that are willing and able to play well with others. And I'm really happy to say that these businesses, these people behind these businesses, really, we're really excited to work with. In more detail, many of you probably know Village Bakery and how they had to abruptly exit our community with the floods and the Barlow. Pat and Teresa have become wonderful friends of my wife and I personally through this process, but really have been part of the planning of this project since its early phases. And I, among many people, are very excited to get them back to Sebastopol. Taverna Lethe, Dino and Sarah, also wonderful people. And this concept, and some of you might know him from Dino's Greek Food. They also have a Italian pizza restaurant in Santa Rosa now. But their take on real, authentic Greek food, not just any Greek food, but specific to the island where Dino's family is from. And I think will be a really kind of unique, special offering that you can't get anywhere else. Cozy PLUM, some of you may have heard of them as well. They're a vegan focused restaurant. Both Charles and Lisa are actually Annalee High grads. And we're really happy to have them as part of this project. And they're going to bring a pretty substantial vegan flavor into town here with Cozy PLUM. Lunchbox, Derek and Megan Harn are the chef owners. This Lunchbox actually started as a pop-up at the Ramen Gaijin restaurant. And we're happy to have them on board to have a elevated, craft burgers and sandwiches as part of the project. And CHARRO Negro, Rod is also a former Starks chef, and he's really an impressive person, but even more as just as much impressive chef, and will have a very kind of a unique, specialized kind of seafood focused Mexican food offering as well. Farriers is the bar that we have actually created for the second level. Once again, the idea is to have a large but uniquely local offering of beverages, but also have pairings that collaborate with all the kitchens within the project. So what's next? So we're through. We have a design review, planning approval. We've had that for a while now, and we are expecting to receive building permit within the next few weeks. For those that have seen the building and noticed, we are doing interior demolition in the meantime, and plan for the project to really hit into high gear by March. And so we are, as many of you as current or formal business owners may be interested, we are getting a construction loan as the business owner to finance the majority of the project and tenant improvements. We also have an equity crowdfunding campaign, which we felt was really important to us to allow access to anybody, and especially local interested people of any economic ability, to invest and participate and be involved with the project. It's been really important for us to limit, if not completely eliminate, outside of town influence on this project. So therefore keeping the money and the people involved local. And so far we've been able to do that. And let's see here, we plan, and it's kind of an awkward thing at this current moment, but we plan to open the co-work in March, but that is tentative. We're playing that day by day and week by week right now, but we'll be ready to open by March, and then we're going to wait for the appropriate time to do that with all things considered. If any of you want additional information, livery135.com, 135 South Main is the address of the property. There's more information there, and I'd love to answer any of your questions. And thank you again for your time and interest very much.
Gregory, I have a question. The pictures you showed us look so radically different from the old building. I'm wondering, you have to tear it down to the ground and start over, or are you going to be able to reuse some of the existing stuff? And are you talking about opening March 3rd this year or next year?
So no, all good questions. Thank you, Rick. The opening in March this year is for the co-work in the former Persinger building that I'm sitting in now, which is essentially turnkey other than the furnishings and things like that. We plan to officially start construction full on for the Livery project in March, with the goal of having at least the first level opened by the end of this year. Regarding tearing down or utilizing this as much of this existing building as possible, it has always been essential for us to utilize as much of this existing building as possible. And actually, and once again, like I mentioned, the old Aubergine building, and it's now Art and Soul, you know, going through that process there, is what was so appealing about this property is how well it was built. It's a 40-year-old building, but the engineering was done in a way where there's very large glulam beams with large spans with steel columns, and really only one main lateral braced structural wall dividing the entire building. So the amount of flexibility of altering interior walls and structure is pretty immense here. Before steel prices went up by 100% in the last year, we actually had a completely different structural model for it that we designed, where we had steel basic legs that went through the existing building without adding any additional load on the structure. So we wouldn't create a domino effect of having to code upgrade the whole building. And a year ago, that was a very economical, efficient way to get a third level without adding any additional loads. Well, with steel prices now, that would cost us over $1 million in steel alone. We actually had to go back to the drawing board and really look at looking at reinforcing and upgrading the building more traditionally. And we've been able to do that. So it probably would have been faster and potentially cheaper to tear down the building and start over again. But that was really never an option for us, because we don't want to fill landfills unnecessarily. And we were interested in this property and this building because of what was already there, and we wanted to make the most of it.
Thank you for a very interesting presentation. It looks to me like it'll be a marvelous embellishment to downtown Sebastopol.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you for bringing this to Sebastopol, and it looks like a great project. I was kind of wondering when it was first announced in the paper, how are they going to fit a bunch of things into? Okay, now I know. One engineering type question is, I only noticed one public restroom on the first floor.
Oh.
Is it co-ed, or is it?
So good question. So we have restrooms on every level. They are universal. And so, yeah, but like everything else, we try to consolidate as much of the uses of every type into localized areas to maximize the usable space and efficiency. So yeah, there's the largest restroom area is on the lower level. There's an additional, I believe, 2 or 3 on the second level, and as well as a couple more on the third.
You're sounding more and more like a Cal Poly grad.
Hey, Greg.
Don't tell my Chico alum, but I think if I could do it all over. We lived in San Luis Obispo, actually, before moving up here. My wife got her graduate degree there, and both school and town, I wouldn't mind spending some more time there as well.
Okay, I want to know, what about parking? How will you solve a problem parking? And what does Barlow think about the idea?
I haven't specifically asked. I'll start with the second part. I haven't specifically asked Barney or any of the Barlow of what they think about the project. I'm very familiar with Barlow. I've been involved with some tenant improvements there. We explored some projects ourselves in there. And our intention, our vision for this project is We frequent the Barlow and enjoy the Barlow. But I feel like the intent of this project, and this is nothing against the Barlow, the intent of this is to be community and neighbors focused first. And if the tourists come, then that's a bonus. But I think the idea is to not necessarily compete, but complement and bring some of what the Barlow has been benefiting from with the outdoor seating and multiple venues, parking once, and those types of things to downtown. And this kind of reminds me of another aspect. Just for example, is I'm friends with the owners of Retrograde Coffee. They were considering coming into this project before they expanded into the space next door to them. And we actually together decided that they should stay where they're at because we'll complement each other and further strengthen downtown. It doesn't all have to be in our project. It doesn't all have to be under our control. This is intended to benefit everything around us here. So my focus is downtown as a whole. And I think this will bring some of that commerce and attention more to kind of the more traditional part of town, if that answers your question. As far as parking is concerned, we are directly across the street from one of the largest public parking lots. There's also the parking at CVS, as well as parking behind, let's see here, between us and Ives Park. We've done a lot of parking studies, and for special events, we will, for concerts and things like that, have pursued between the Vets Hall and different locations, organized parking and shuttle service for those special events. And so, we've put a lot of thought into that. And then also just to add into as well, the existing building is about 11,000 square feet of interior space. This project is ending up with a total usable square footage, both properties included, about 25,000 square feet. And the majority of that is outdoor. So I think that is a big improvement and change of what the downtown just really has struggled to offer, especially through a pandemic, that I'm hoping will benefit us, the town as a whole, and the other businesses too.
Thank you very much.
My question, Greg, was
Hi,
in
Jeff.
parking. Hi. Hey, my question is the parking. I was offering my backyard as a parking option, but there's many in town, yourself included, that could walk down there, and the whole concept of serving our own citizens is just great. So the parking won't be an issue for many who will walk to a venue, though many will also drive. But it doesn't take many people in town on a Friday night or Saturday night to see that lot that's behind Hop Monk just fill up to the side of it. So that could be in direct competition space-wise just for your wonderful project. So I'm sure you've looked at that and said that there's a little head scratching, but maybe the shuttles is the answer. But anyway,
yeah,
congrats.
And to that, thanks for bringing that up, Jeff. And I mean, to that end, some of this is going to be trial and error, and hopefully not error, but learning as we do this. I think a big part of this is also just spreading information and education. A lot of people don't know that there's additional public parking behind the museum and where, why am I blanking?
Mortuary.
Chamber of Commerce.
Right next to, yes, exactly there, along with others. So, we plan to inform and educate as many of our customers as possible about where parking solutions are. And once again, if there are certain events that we are going to have, we're already planning on having the parking for those events intentionally farther out and shuttling them over to not compete with those that are just spontaneously coming down for other reasons.
Did you say how long you anticipated the construction to go? What's the potential opening timeline?
Yeah, so we anticipate overall construction to probably be about 18 months. Our goal is to have the lower level and exterior facade done, completed by the end of this year. And that will allow us to be up and operating while maybe the third level and some interior of the second level continuing maybe into next year.
Any more questions?
Yeah, I actually just had a quick question. Hi, Greg. My name is Anthony. We're actually the dental office across the street.
Oh, nice.
My staff and I have been really excited about everything opening up and having some more food options around here in walking distance.
Great.
But I just had a question. You mentioned the crowdfunding and investment opportunities and stuff like that. Can you elaborate a little more on that, on how exactly that works?
Yeah, sure. And I didn't go too far into that because, you know, as my intent was not to solicit anything here and not cross any boundaries. We have the crowdfunding is hosted by WeFunder. And what that, you know, that is open. We have that actually through April. I think it's about mid-April. Anybody can invest $100 or more. There's all the details are kind of there. Our targeted return is 6% annual dividend for that. And that goes directly to benefit our B Corp, which is Farm to Coast Collective and the licensees. We have done the legwork basically, and we've invested about $2 million to get to this point right now of our own money, to basically allow these licensees to walk in to turnkey kitchens. That was in our research, was one of the biggest parts of restaurant failures is, you know, the investors have to get paid back first. And that amount can be so substantial. I mean, restaurants can cost millions of dollars to before you even open the door, you're out that much. And the intent here was to share all of the expenses. And once again, like I said, is if my dream is, you know, my fantasy here is that we have people that come in as customers and say, I own this, you know, I'm an owner of this. I supported it. That's what we want. We want this to be a community project. And my intent long-term is to not own this personally and to share it with the curators that started it and the community at large. You know, if I end up breaking even on this project and it goes to the community at large, mission accomplished. And then I want to do it again somewhere else and do it again. This isn't about my personal, this is a dream of mine to share it with as many people as possible.
Wow, really exciting. Thank you.
So there's more information as far as the specifics of investment. Like I said, I don't want to cross any lines and sound like I'm soliciting it. If you feel free to contact me or look at our website if you want to know anything more about that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah,
Any more questions out there?
Yeah, really quick. It's Dorothy Rodella.
Hi,
I
Dorothy.
loved your presentation. I love the concept. It brought me great joy to hear your presentation. I work for Exchange Bank. I'm a regional manager, and we just built the new branch in Sebastopol.
Oh yeah, great.
And we built it. It used to be an old gas station, and Exchange Bank was founded in 1890. And if you look at that architecture, it also kind of our architects in the bank, we really spent a lot of time on what we wanted that building to look like. And we thought about you know, farming and apples and vineyards. And when you look at that building, it speaks to all of that. And it's also built for the future. So I'm grateful
Agreed.
that, you know, you have that forethought and that I love the concept around, you know, one cleaning crew, you know, that is just phenomenal. And your collaboration with Dean Biersch over at Hot Monk. I love Dean. And I look forward to formally meeting you and yours. So thank you for the presentation. I look forward to seeing what develops in Sebastopol, and it's brilliant.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much. Look forward to meeting you in person as well.
Absolutely.
Great.
Greg, Bob Rogers here.
Hi, Bob.
Hi. Your the venue upstairs, I think you said it could seat 100 or stand 125. And I just wondered if you considered what would it seat in a dining layout?
Yeah. So it's really flex space, and that space will be used potentially for yoga and Pilates classes some days, and additional dining, or business events. We're planning kind of our own take of like TED Talks for educational and business and philanthropic promotion, things like that. Dining, but also co-work expansion on certain days. So it's designed, its infrastructure is for that high quality music venue, but I see that being the use of the space maybe a quarter to a third of the time.
How about a regular tenant on Fridays at noon?
That was my point.
No, we thought about it for, I think, for the film festival, for Super Bowl, for, World Cup, the type of thing where, we've been talking with the senior center as well, as far as hosting certain events and fundraisers for them. It's really meant, the second and third level is really intended to be flexible for our school. My oldest goes to the charter school, and I hope to host their next fundraiser there when we're open. So it's really intended to be as flexible as possible, but during the day when it doesn't have those dedicated uses, it's really meant for additional dining and other customer uses.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Greg. This was an excellent presentation. So great to find out what's actually going on there. Great project, lots of fun, and I know we're all looking forward to it.